The history of Japanese art in general is wide-ranging, going back to the beginnings of human habitation in Japan sometime in the 10th millennium BC and continuing to the present. The seeds of Japanese art date back to the Jomon period, when the Jomon people, the forerunners of modern-day Japanese citizenry, began to form small groups and villages. It was in the Jomon period that the images which were forerunners of paintings began to appear on ceramics. The Jomon era was followed by the Yayoi era from 300 BC to 300, and the Kofun era from 300 to 538. It was during this period of time that the cultures transitioned from hunter-gatherers to being agriculturally based. It was in the 600s, during the Asuka era, that Japanese culture became stable enough to create art. The beginnings of two-dimensional painting starts with the beginnings of cultural exchanges between Japan and China. It's not known whether calligraphy or paintings of things from the outside world came first. Yet the first recorded painting is this wall mural done in the 600s. Another known painting is this mural from the Takamatsuka tomb. After this, Japanese painting evolved slowly between the 600s and the 1300s. It was at this time that the Buddhist philosophy was imported from China and became a popular theme. In time, Japanese artists began to take up the Chinese practice of painting on scrolls and panels. One of the earliest true Japanese paintings during this era was this painting of a plum tree on panels. The first recorded Japanese artist with a body of work is Tensho Shubun. Tensho's work, like most of the other painting done at the time, shows the influence of Chinese art which had existed for centuries before this point in Japanese culture. His work was in sympathy with the Chinese Taoist idea of the hermit sage, those wise and evolved and evolving individuals who retreated to nature to get in touch with the fundamental essence of reality. Yet the mainstay of Tensho's work was landscape painting. Yet the artist considered the greatest artist of this time was a Zen Buddhist priest and student of Tensho's. His name was Sesshu Toyo. Sesshu was influenced, like his teacher, by Chinese landscape painting. He undertook a voyage to Ming, China, where he was quickly recognized as an outstanding painter. When he returned to Japan, he built himself a studio and established a large following that became known as the School of Sesshu. One of Sesshu's most famous works was a painting that depicted a famous Zen Buddhist story of Ukiyo-e, the young Zen acolyte, offering his severed arm to the sage Bodhidharma as proof of his sincerity. In the late 1400s, the Kano school came into prominence. The Kano school, or Kano style, was founded by Kano Masanobu. It tended to continue and develop the so-called hard edge or cutout style, which became an approach indicative of Japanese art. Kano Matsunobu painted in the late 1400s and early 1500s. Like Sesshu, Kano was influenced by Tensho. He worked in a style derived from Chinese painting, but added a Japanese touch to the style with more hard-edged forms. This innovation had a strong elegance and dynamism, and was the trademark of the Kano family, which continued for multiple generations. The Kano lineage is the longest-running, continuous family lineage of artists in history. It began in the late 1400s and continued to the late 1800s. Hasegawa Tohaku flourished in the 1500s during the Oda Nobunaga rule. Oda was considered a pivotal figure in Japanese history. It's said he changed the face of Japan. He made innovations in the field of war tactics, developed commerce and industry, created systematic land survey and taxation, instituted the use of firearms, and established the castle as a symbol of power. Oda himself was a member of the warrior caste known as samurai, and played a large role in establishing the elite status of the samurai. So it was in this context that the artist Hasegawa painted. He is considered one of the greatest painters of the Azuchi Momoyama era. Hasegawa is best known for his painted biyo or folding screens, and his paintings on panels. During the 1600s to 1800s, the Edo era, a distinctive new style of Japanese art began. It was called the ukiyo-e style. It is considered by many to be the style most indicative of Japanese art. It emerged primarily because of the invention of printing inks. The term ukiyo means pictures of the floating world, or the transient world, and describes the urban lifestyle, especially the pleasure-seeking and romantic aspects of the Edo period. The ukiyo-e approach was mostly about woodblock prints and paintings. Its subject matter included female beauties, the merchant world, brothel scenes and geisha, kabuki actors, sumo wrestlers, scenes from history and folk tales, erotica, samurai, flora and fauna, and travel scenes and landscapes. In short, just about everything in Japanese life. Kitagawa Udamaru, generally referred to as Udamaru or Udamaro, is the first of the three main artists of the Edo period and ukiyo-e style. Udamaro is regarded as one of the masters of ukiyo-e prints and painting. Udamaro is famous for his okubi-e, or so-called large-headed pictures. He's also noted for his paintings of insects and erotica. Geisha inhabit many of Udamaro's paintings. The second of the big three artists of the ukiyo-e period was Katsushika Hokusai, commonly called Hokusai. Hokusai's prints became some of the most exquisite prints of the ukiyo-e era. Hokusai's print of Fine Clear Morning was one of the images that secured Hokusai's fame both in Japan and overseas. Hokusai's print, The Great Wave off Kanagawa, is his most iconic and well-known image. The third superstar of the Edo period in the ukiyo-e style was Utagawa Hiroshige, generally referred to as Hiroshige. Hiroshige is best known for his horizontal format landscape series, The 53 Stations of the Taikaido, and for his vertical format landscape series, 100 Famous Views of Edo. Like Udamaro and Hokusai, Hiroshige was a master of composition, and he wasn't above, out-of-the-box, unusual compositional approaches.